Hello, hello. Welcome everyone for the second take on the creating Power Apps, my training app using Power Apps. This is the topic for this week, and following weeks I'll try to verify other platforms and low-code, no-code platforms. But today I'm going to show you the Power Apps. This is the low-code platform from Microsoft. And last week I did some errors, and I had some issues related to the scenario. Okay, not enough time for rehearsals. So my bad. Anyway, today I'm going to show you the scenario that I already prepared. And that's the main difference. And this is what I like to keep for the rest of the following webinars. So I'm going to show you the video I've recorded with all the scenarios, so nothing will mess up. I'm 100% sure it will be good. Remember that this is recorded. It will be available on our YouTube channel. During my recordings, I shared some insights with the Discord community. So on the YouTube channel, you also have access to our Discord group. Subscribe and like us. I'll remind that to you after the webinar. Let's see what I prepared. Of course, there'll be only video, so I'll be talking during this video. The first thing we're going to do, because the scenario, I'll pause for a second the video. The scenario is about creating an application to schedule my training. So let's say in our company, we have some HR department organizing trainings, and they have a list of that, and we can sign up for training. So first of all, I need to create such a list of internal trainings, and this is what I'm going to show in a second using ChatGPT. Then we'll create an app with all the screens we'll need to have such a solution. So, like I said, I'm going to create a list of trainings, and this is just for for having some fun. I decided to use ChatGPT. So I asked ChatGPT, hey, generate me a list of 10 company internal trainings. I provided columns that I want to have. I also provided some specific details, like how many characters there should be for a specific column. Of course, what you're about to see is a working scenario, but before I had to do some trials and verify some different type of query, but the final result was I achieved that via iteration. So remember that whenever you will use ChatGPT, it's always about iterating and let's say conversation with the AI. Nevertheless, I'm about to now run the query. Like you can see, I already defined some columns, limitations, even format for a date column. And whenever I hit enter, it will start creating the table. And this is super, super fun. Look at this. It will create the whole structure that I'll be able later on just copy and paste to my Excel file, because the database for us will be the Excel file. And actually the very same Excel we'll use in any other material regarding creating app using different local platforms. While it is generating the full list, I don't know how about you, but here where I live, that is the Poland, we have a Fat Thursday. So like we eat many of those. How it's called? You can remind me if you're on chat. Just type me the name of that in English. It's don't I think it's donut, but it's with the filling inside. So it's not like a regular donut with a hole in it in the center of it, but it's with a filling. But it's delicious. I love donuts, and I always eat all of them, no matter how many of them there are. Okay, ChatGPT and its work. So I can now select everything and copy paste to my Excel. Yeah, perfect. I forgot how it's relaxing and comfortable whenever I already know that it will work, and because that's actually a video and I can be relaxed, lay back, and just wait until it be finished. Yeah, some formatting I'm doing right now, just to show you that everything has been properly pasted. Some quick formatting. Remember to select English United Kingdom format if you like to have in the date format. At first you want to have a days number, then month, and followed by a year. I'll save it, I guess. No more changes, no more formatting, and we'll jump into the place that will be a database for our solution. So in this solution, I'm going to use SharePoint. Of course, you may use any kind of any kind of database you want, but I decided that I'll stick to the platform, or rather tech stack that is the most recommended by the platform vendor. So in this case, Microsoft recommend using Dataverse, but this is something too much advanced for now. So we'll use SharePoint. And let's see how it goes. So I create a SharePoint list. I'll create a new one, and I'll import data using Excel. So I hit Excel, upload file. I select file. Yeah, open. Think. I have to to pick a proper type of the column. So you may ask why I changed the category column from single line to the choice type. So the reason was actually that whenever if I'll use a single line, and later on I would like to maybe add a new position, I would need to type manually the full name, the exact name. And whenever I'll select choice column type, then actually the platform itself will provide me a list of all values that I can select from. So it's much more just it has better user experience. The date type, the date column has been recognized as a number one, so I changed it to date at time, and it broke some of the dates, so I'll need to later on change it manually. And for such short list of items, that's not a real big deal. But if there will be like list of 1,000, then probably I will try to do some formatting changes in Excel itself. But here, well, I can just go one by one and change the date to the one that I want it to be. But actually, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going, to somehow maybe order by date. I'm not going to do this, something like that. But well, I can. I did it just to show you. In the meantime, I'll take a bite. Okay. I'm getting close to the finishing the fixing the date column. Yeah. And that's it. I save the view. And now I'm going to create one more table, because whenever I'll, when I will have a list of all trainings, then I need an extra table to save the signups. So if I'll sign up for the training, I need to save this information somewhere. So I'll create a new list. It will be a blank list. I'll just add there 3 columns. First column with the name of the training, second column with the ID of the training, just to have some reference, and third column with the simple date. Yeah, so this is actually an interesting thing. Look at this. I tried to add a column, and it just, the error showed up that there is some problem. So, well, if something is not working, just refresh the page, and that fixed the error. Okay, I selected text, if I believe. Yeah, or maybe, no, it was, I don't remember what I selected. Yeah, text column, and there will be an ID. Yeah, trainings ID, exactly. And then the second column that I created was a date column, and that's it, basically. So how to create an application in powerapps? You open powerapps.com website, and there you'll be able to create your first application. Okay, so now let's jump to the platform. You open powerapps.com, you can create here blank app, or via this navigation site, blank app, yeah, create. Let's not discuss other types, because it's just a fundamentals 101 of Power Apps. This is what I'm going to do with any other platform. And in a second, you will see how the studio looks like. So in this studio, everything related to building application you will do here. So in here, on the left-hand side, you have some vertical navigation panel through tree view of all that contains all the controls. You have all the screens available there, also all connectors. I'm not going to walk through all of that. Just let's focus on the Power Apps itself. What can you do in Power Apps Studio? So you can create an application using controls. So let's add some controls. Here, as you can see, there are a lot of groups. Each group contains from 4 up to 20 different controls. So it's a lot of them. So I recommend using search panel, search text box on the top. So here you can just type any name like button, and it will filter out the button control. You can add the button, you can add label. Yes, label, like I said. And of course, you can start formatting it, like adding some text size or font color or whatever. For the list purposes, to show a list of items, you can use a couple controls like gallery. There is a horizontal gallery, there is a vertical. I'll use the vertical one. But something that really make styling more effective is to use built-in styles. So in the studio, there is an option for styling all controls. Yeah, right now I'm just creating some mockups just to show how it works, how it can behave. There are some support lines that show you that, okay, this element is now aligned with some other control. Am I going to show another label or styling? Yeah, perfect. Styling, exactly. You can select different styling options. It changes both background and controls colors mainly, but really, speed up a little, at least speed up a little the whole process of changing colors of the items. Whenever you add some control, remember that its visibility depends on the order of in relation to other controls. So you need to, for instance, in such case, like I would like to add some additional layer of background, I need to create a rectangle and move it to the back. So yeah, the cool thing is that actually you can just type a specific value for the color that should be applied with its transparency level. So here I remember that I'm going to use a function. And now, what is function? In Power Apps, function is responsible for all kind of logic operations or some small automations. And in this case, I used a function that is dependent for responsible for giving extra color RGB, red, green, blue, RGB a reference. So I provide some numbers to show the specific color. Yeah, some formatting of the application, and yeah, okay, some playing with the styling. Okay, setting up the proper position of the elements. On the left hand side, I'm going to show the list of training items, training records, trainings that I'll be able to sign up for. And on the right hand side, I'm going to show some details regarding the selected training. So that'll be description and the button to sign up, and some warning, I guess, about the limits of the attendees limit on the training. Yeah, so actually next time I'll speed up a bit such, styling the application, because it's something that actually you don't have to look in its slow pace. But let's wait until I finish it up. The good trick is whenever you would like to add a horizontal line, normally you use rectangle that is just 2 pixel height. I hope you don't hear the biting. If so, let me know. I'll turn off the mic then. As you can see, probably, every control has its own properties on the right side, and there is each control has its own unique properties. Although every control has a basic properties tab and advanced properties tab. So like there is a lot of possibilities to change the same value. You can use it. You can change it using advanced tab or basic properties tab, or even on the left side above the tree view with all the controls or screens or whatever. There is a drop-down control. Right now, it displays the field name. All kind of properties are available there as well. So like 3 places that you can see the same property. Anyway, what I did now is I used a screen template just to have some, just to generate some screen without any additional work. I used a template, changed some name, and then I duplicated the first screen because I want to have 2 screens with a list of trainings. First will contain all the trainings, and the second one will contain only my trainings. I did some changes regarding the placement of the app title and screen name. Yeah, I was playing a bit. Sometimes it's like, probably you already know it, that whenever you're designing something, in your head, some concept looks okay, but once you implemented it, you already feel that, okay, it's the wrong way. So this is what I did. Like I tried some concept, and then once I implemented it, I decided, okay, it's better. By the way, I'm not a UX designer. I'm just a regular developer. I was a regular developer that switched to a business side. So let's say a dark side. Nevertheless, I read a book about designing or 2, and there are a couple rules to follow, so your design will be perceived as a good one. But actually, I think I was not applying to all the rules. You can Google Gestalt principles. Google Gestalt. It's written like Gestalt principles, UX, and you'll see like 7 or 9 rules that unconsciously communicate specific information to the user. So like grouping, aligning, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's get back to the application. Yeah, I did some styling and renaming, and now I'm going to, because what you can see right now on the screen is I just provided a static name. But let's say I'd like the name of a label duplicate or rather imitate the value from the control name itself. So like from the screen, for instance. And this is something like that you can do using the objective paradigms. So it's from objective programming. So every element, every virtual item has its own properties, and you can walk through different properties just by providing the object name and followed by a period. You provide a period, and then you have access to its own properties. And let's say you have object in object, you can still use the same methodology to jump to the object, then to the object within the previous one object, and then to the last object properties. So this is what I actually do in this case. So I was providing an app object. I provided app name to get into the app object. Then I hit a period. It was followed by the app object properties. I selected active screen properties that has its own properties. So, like, you can imagine that as a tree structure, like in folders, right? You can go into one folder, then in this folder you have its own folder, so you can jump inside. And this is the same situation here. I walked into the app object. Inside there were an active screen object, and inside its active screen there was a property I was looking for. So there will be name. Yeah. And now if I'll change the screen name, it will be imitated by the label control. Yeah. And I just copied these two labels and pasted to the first screen. And as you can see, the screen control has different name, so also the control took proper value from the proper control. Okay. Next thing we need to do is to provide some information for the gallery control that will display display the lists. So here you can see there is a tab. I'll pause a video for a second. There is a tab related to all connectors. Connectors are providing connections to different services different than Power Apps itself. So, like, for instance, you would like to connect to SharePoint, or to SQL, or to Airtable, or to Google Drive. It can be calendar. Actually, there are over 700 connectors, ready-made connectors that you can use, that you can integrate your application with. So you can jump for information from your application to, let's say, Google Calendar, fetch some events, meetings, and display them in your application. Why not? And then maybe, I don't know, made some changes in the application and update in the calendar, on Google Calendar, information about specific event. So in this case, on the screen, you can see that I'm viewing through all tables and connectors, and I also open up the AI models that you can use. So this is also very interesting. You can use ready-made AI models to recognize text in a screen or objects or whatever. Very cool possibilities. But for the need of this case, I'm going to use SharePoint connector. I provided my own account to connect to the SharePoint, and this is super important part because it's not like you can connect via any account. It must be your own account, because users will be able to connect to specific sources using their own accounts. So it's not like you need one service account and every user will use the same service account. No, every user will provide their own accounts to connect to the sources, which already actually applies proper security, right? So if a user won't have some permissions to see, I don't know, files or events, the application won't display these items. It's not like it will filter it down. It will just, what I'm trying to explain is that application does not provide its own security model. Actually, it just implement the model of the platform itself. of the platform that you're integrating your solution with. I selected proper data source for the gallery. So once I added connection to the SharePoint list, I hit the data source. From the data source dropdown, I selected the proper list table, and it displays over here in the gallery. And now in the gallery, every control has a reference to the specific row it belongs to. So there is a special object called this item, and this item is actually related to the specific row. So if I, for instance, wrote this item dot date, it displays different dates, depends on the row. Now on the video, I'm actually playing with the function that I've never used before. If we don't count the webinar last week, and this is actually some cool implementation of usage of AI. So we can use this ideas panel, which implement AI in behind, so that, for instance, we can ask this ideas panel to generate a formula. Formula is actually specific usage of a function, and we can ask this panel to generate formula. So, for instance, this format date will be displayed in different way, and this requires a formula. And I can just copy that, apply that, and boom. Now the label control displays a date in other format. Now I'm playing with this this design a bit. Yeah, I'm going to add more information to the gallery. So just by adding text label, you can select specific column to be displayed. So yeah, exactly. Over here, I typed trainer. That will provide the trainer name. I added information about the location. So yeah, I copied the label and just changed the name of a column. I must admit that what I very like in the way of implementation of the Power Apps is that actually the going through the controls properties via this dots information key is super useful and simplify the way of getting into some specific information. And remember that gallery control is duplicating everything you'll do in the first row. So it's not like you need to provide for every specific row. You just provide it once for the first row, and other rows are just duplicating the same design. So yeah, now I'm using icon control to just add some visible information next to the label information. There are about 30 or 40 or maybe even more icons you can pick from. So like now I'm just scrolling down through all the list just to show the proper one for the attendance limit, and I'll pick the warning icon. That is on the very end of the icon list. So you can view what are all the icons. The cool thing is actually, if you want to replace two icons, you don't have to like replace them manually, like add the second one and then replace it, but just you can pick the icon you want to replace and change its icon it's using. I'll show it in a second. You'll get what I mean. So look how I changed the replace the pin icon with the location icon. So I could just replace them, or I can select the pin icon, and here I can just change it to the location one, and boom, it's done. Good. I deleted the previous one. I positioned the warning sign. Later on, I'll delete this information. Oh, exactly, like now. I deleted them, and yeah, it has some references to the gallery information, so I need to change that. And over here, I'm fixing the errors. Some errors still persist, so I need to click a couple times for the to get details about the error and then fix the information. Yeah, and now I don't know if you see that, but on the top right corner there is a play button, and once you hit it, you can just preview your application. So you can play with it, but you can also play with it using by keeping pressed an Alt button. So once you press and keep the Alt button, you can just make your application behaved like a previewed, but still in this full studio mode, right? And the thing that I'm going to do right now is I want to implement selecting, or rather highlighting the selected row in a gallery. Because right now, whenever user will select first or second row, you don't know about it because there is no indication. But the thing I'm going to do is actually I'm going to add the logic behind it. And the way I'm going to do it is that once I selected gallery, I selected the template field property that keeps information about what is the highlight of a specific of every row actually. And look at this. Whenever I provided the color green, it just colored every row. So first of all, I want to add there some specific color, and it'll be some grayish one, I believe. Yeah, I used an RGBA function, and just to provide its values, I use some. I tried to use RGBA color picker, but instead I reminded that I have a cool tool. This is the Power Toys for Windows, and via adding pressing Control-Shift-C, the Windows generates such tooltip information about the color that the mouse is hovering, and once you hit the left button, it displays you something like that, and I can now change the value. I mean, copy the value. I think I'm going to also, it's 20%, but of course, you won't see the results because it's I copied the wrong value. It's just the same value as the background. So of course we won't see it. But once I selected the more brighter color and hit Come on. I selected brighter color. Yeah, exactly. Paste it, type 20%, and boom. Now all rows are highlighted. And the thing I'm going to do right now is I want to do some additional logic that will condition the conditioning behavior. So whenever the row is selected, because actually the control gallery, the gallery control has this information, what the users pressed on. I'm going to use an if function followed by this item, so reference to the specific item. And then after the dot indicator, there is a property called isSelected, which keeps the information if user selected a specific row. And I just end it. I mean, close the parenthesis. And now whenever I'm pressing different rows, it just highlights only the row I selected. Okay, I did some additional changes, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, as I said, some changes. Come on. The next thing I'm going to cover is how to display information from the gallery, but outside the gallery. So let's say I want to display description text on the right side of the application, independence of the clicked row. And you can do it because there's no, of course, reference to this item outside the gallery, as you'll see in a second. Oh, exactly. Come on, Mike. Oh, exactly. So I'm about to write this item. And of course, you don't have access to this because it's outside the gallery. So I need to make reference to the gallery control, then to selected item, and then I'll have access to all this information from this selected item. So this is what I actually did. I provided information responsible for the description text, responsible for attendees limit text. And then I'm going to do some additional changing. Yeah, as you can see, actually, whenever I was creating this application, I didn't have exact styling. I was doing everything on the fly. So there was some, trials to provide best user experience, although this application is far from a beautiful one. But I hope you, the watchers, the viewers, amongst you, there are some UX designers who will be able to fix this design or provide it at least a little bit better. Right now on this section, I'm showing that actually you can just make a reference from one control to another control, so it duplicates its own behavior. So for instance, I'd like this icon to have the same color as the button. So instead of like pressing specific color, I can just make a reference to the button color and actually the button fill property, button control fill property. So whenever I'll change a button color filament, it will influence this icon, right? So check this out. I'm changing color of the button, and boom, immediately it's imitated by the icon control. Okay, I did some extra playing with it. Let's speed it up a little bit. Yeah, this is some additional additional information that I can provide, like on the top of the button. And as you can see right now, whenever I hit sign me up, it does nothing. Why? Because of course there is no logic. So every control has some special property called onSelect, and in onSelect you can actually provide a behavioral one function that will do something, and patch function is a such function. So patch is actually responsible for all kind of integrational operations, like adding information, deleting information, updating information, and it has its own pattern you have to follow, its own template. So first of all, I need to provide a source, so that will be my trainings app. Then I need to provide a record I want to update, and because this will be the new record, I need to use a special function called defaults, which keeps the default information for all the columns. And I'm going to provide an update information for the row. So like for the title, I'm going to use information from the title itself. So gallery 2 selected name. If you want to be 100% sure what to use, you can just verify what is used in here, right? Okay, then I'll update the next two columns. So there was training ID and training date. I just sped it up a little bit. Oh yeah, and the final result will look like this. I have a patch function with a reference to the source, with information about defaults and update values, right? Let's verify if this works. Yes, let's verify it, Mike. I'm still waiting. Boom, perfect. Come on. Come on, buddy. Come on, just hit sign me up. Yeah, perfect. Okay, I did it. As you can see, nothing happens. Of course, in a data source, rows are there. But, well, I didn't add any kind of additional follow-up after the click. So like there should be a navigation operation, like, right? So whenever user add a record to the data source, the application should navigate user to another screen that contains this success information. Good. So now, whenever a user will click sign me up, come on, Mike. Oh yeah, I did some very important operation, that is the transition animation. So yeah, fade animation, I click and yeah, boom, new screen showed up. Some extra controls I have to add, like a control I have to add is a button for a user to get back to the main screen, like the return home button. Yeah, and you can use for the navigation back, you can use navigate function, but also there is a specific function called back, and this function always takes user to the previous screen, no matter from which screen user came to this screen, right? Yeah, okay. This time I use navigate function, but in the other use case, I'll use the back function. You'll see it in a second. Okay, good. So we have our training app. What I'm going to do right now, I don't remember. Maybe I'll. Oh yeah, I know. I just copied the controls from the old training screen and paste it in the my training screen, I believe. Come on, Mike. Don't hesitate so much. Okay, let's speed it up a little bit. Oh yeah, I also... okay, so I need to provide also the option to change screen from the old trainings to my trainings. So I'm providing like a label. It's not a button, it will be just, it's going to be just a label. So the user pressing the label would be able to see only filter down the list filter down to only his own trainings. Of course, it could be just the same screen that just by pressing the label you change some values for the source that the gallery is connected to, or adding some filtration or whatever. Yeah, you can do it, but actually this was not the case. And this time I wanted to keep it simple. There is a cool rule called KISS, which it's abbreviation from keep it simple stupid. And this is what I'm going to do. I keep this application simple stupid. So whenever user click the see only my trainings, user will be navigated to the other screen, exactly this one. So we need to also duplicate these controls to the other screen. Yeah, I'll speed it up a little bit. Yeah, I copied the controls. I need to add some extra changes related to, because this is it's another gallery, right? It's not the same one. So it has different names. So that's why I needed to change this information and the reference to this gallery, not the previous one. So now whenever user will click on different rows, it will change this description value and the maximum number of attendees value. Oh yeah, and to show only my trainings, I'm going to make reference to my trainings list. And exactly. And to provide information from other lists based on this training ID information, I'll use lookup function. So lookup returns you single value, the first that the first value it founds. It returns you the whole row based on a specific query and condition, right? And in this example, the condition is I'm looking for a row that has ID equals training ID value. So yeah, this is what I'm exactly writing now. I provided the training, the trainer name. Then I copied the function, the formula, and pasted here to provide the information about the location. Yeah, good. And the date. Good. This during providing the date, I didn't have to make a lookup reference to the this all trainings list, because actually my trainings list contains this information already. Okay, and that's it. The only thing I have to do is to add a back button. This is what I told you about. So a button that will take user back, one screen back. That's it. And now, boom, magic happens. Okay, we can see the same three rows. This is because our data source contains exactly these rows. So I need to go to the SharePoint list, which is our database, and change the delete all the information, wipe it out, and now I'm going to add using this regular app behavior. Yeah, exactly. The list is empty. What I thought immediately once I saw this empty list is that actually I could provide an information to the user, so the list is empty. So there will be also an opportunity for us to play a little bit with visibility. You'll see it in a second, because once I provided a label with the proper text, okay, yeah, and I hit sign me up for some row. Yeah, that looks good. Come on, sign me up and return home and see only my trainings. As you can see, of course, one row appeared, but the information is still there. So I need to go to its visible property and use another function, is empty. So I'm asking if the specific source, that will be my trainings, is empty. If it's not empty, the full query, like is empty, will returns false, so it is not true. So also the value false will be passed to the visible property, which means basically that it's not visible. Okay, good. So this is it. The application is done. Of course, we could add a bit more styling, maybe some personal information, maybe some additional logic like sorting, like I don't know, verification of whenever user, for instance, signed up for a specific training, this training could be filtered out, like couple more extra logic to the application, but the fundamental application is there. I'm going to do the same application in other platforms. The only thing I'm going to show you right now is the publication process. So just by hitting this icon top right corner, I'm publishing the application. Here are some extra settings that I can do to provide some thumbnail image for the application title, provide some display settings. So yeah, a lot of extra features you can turn on, and they are really, really cool. So I recommend playing with these features, but it's not time now to see them. Right now, it's time to show you, once the application is published, how to play let's say this live version, this production version of the application. And you can do it by just going to the powerapps platform, and here you have section apps, and here is your app. You press it, and it shows you the production version of your app. As I said, user is asked for his credentials. So every user will use his or her own credentials. That will also create dependency between them and seeing the data. Yeah, I explained it a little bit in the wrong way, but you know what I mean, right? Okay, and last thing is how to share the application. So you just hit share button, you provide the email of the user, and this is actually something that already show you what is the best usage scenario for the platform itself, for the whole platform. You have to have information about the user. So it's not like user could anonymously connect to the application. So basically, it means that the scenario will be an internal case So you can use Power Apps whenever you're going to build an internal application for your employees or for colleagues in your company, right? This is very often it's the case because actually, for instance, let's say in Tesla, right, company, there are thousands of employees, and then there are a lot of cases when these users, these employees, don't have specific functionality, like for instance, I don't know, application to read QR codes which contains information about the package. Well, whatever, I just out of the blue provided you an example, but you know what I mean, right? It's internal usage for which you are building an application. If you would like to build an application like service for anonymous user or for users that could just sign up to the application using, I don't know, maybe Google credential or maybe something else, it's not the best recommended platform for such cases. There are some options to do that. However, they are pretty expensive, and I think platforms like Babel could be a better fit. Okay, once I hit the share information, share application, it updates permissions, so it adds a user to which I'm sharing this information. It provides permissions to the SharePoint lists, so I don't have to do it by myself, but it's been done. And now I received such email. I can hit run the app, and it will show me the application itself. And that's it. So this is how you're building application with Power Apps. You already know the scenario. I'm going to duplicate the scenario using other platforms. Let's see how it's going to be using other platforms. I don't know. I'm very curious about it. Next week, I think there are also some more broader topics, like how to create adoption for low-code. And I think I'll cover this topic next week, but the week after the next week, then I'm going definitely to show some other platforms. So thank you for today. I hope you were not boring at all, and you're not bored. Yeah, and if you have any kind of questions, remember that there is a Discord channel that you can connect to, and well, you can just join us. There are almost 100 people there, and yeah, you can ask questions there. There are also plans for the videos for this channel, but actually I'd like the community around it, you, the viewers, I'd like to listen to you very carefully. So please provide me an information if there is a platform you'd like me to test, to play with, and see you next time. Thank you.